Welcome to Recently Logged, where this week I'm recording from over here because Robbie has the cheese touch.
Greetings.
Hello.
We're back.
We're back.
Back to school.
Back to school. Oh my goodness. I didn't even think about that. That's brilliant.
Which is
a stroke
funny.
of genius.
Which is funny because both of us are pretty much out of school.
I was about to say, I graduated a couple years ago now. You're about to.
Yeah, but hi everyone.
Hello. Welcome to Recently Logged again.
Yeah, we're back this week, and we were gonna be there last week, but I was really tired because I worked all week.
Micah was sweepy.
I was sweepy.
So he didn't record.
I was too sweepy. Listen, I had been working like literally all week, super long days.
It was a long week.
No, because like I stage managed, and then I did the convention like back to back. So lots of work. So we did not record last week, even though most places around here got back to school last week. But we're
taking it on a technicality.
Well, what can we do for this week? We were like, we're going back to school. We have to do Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
That was the entire logic strand.
Even though neither of us are actually again going back to school.
But yeah, we're gonna cover Diary of a Wimpy Kid. We're planning on doing the whole trilogy of films, maybe quadrilogy. I don't know if we're gonna touch the fourth one or not. But yeah, I'm looking forward.
At
to
least
it.
the trilogy, yes. So
let's get into what you guys need to know about the movie.
Yeah. All right. So this week we are talking about the very first, the best, the greatest. Diary of a Wimpy Kid, 2010.
Yes.
It is rated PG. It's an hour and 34 minutes.
Heck yeah.
Its little IMDb description is the adventures of a 12-year-old who is fresh out of elementary and transitions to middle school, where he has to learn the consequences and responsibility to survive the year.
Consequences of being a jerk.
Oh, it's not just a jerk, man. We'll get into it. The cast features Zachary Gordon, Robert Capron, Rachael Harris,
nice,
Steve Zahn,
nice,
Connor Fielding,
not bad,
and others. Directed by Thor Freudenthal.
Nice.
Written by Jackie Filgo, Jeff Filgo, and Gabe Sachs.
Nice.
And
solid crew.
Yeah, that is the stack.
That's Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
That's Diary of a Wimpy Kid. That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know.
You don't need the book series. Forget about it.
Forget
it. It doesn't exist. Don't even worry about it. The new Disney Plus original animated one.
Oh man.
Don't even worry about it. Don't even think about it.
Don't think about it.
We've got nothing else. No sequels. Nothing. That is what you need to know. We have these very dramatic transitions now. You know, we're talking about like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and it's like, oh.
You're lucky I didn't grab one of the ones with the choir behind it, Micah. That would have been great.
And go full Palpatine lightning choir.
Dude, that moment, that is a moment in film history.
That is a moment. We were all there.
Everyone was there.
Everyone remembers where they were for the Palpatine lightning choir.
Oh my gosh. But Micah, quick question for you.
Yeah.
What'd you think about Diary of a Wimpy Kid?
Well, you see, I never read the book.
Neither did I. Don't feel too bad.
No, yeah. Honestly, I don't really know why we never read the books growing up.
We weren't allowed to when we were super young.
Well, yeah, when I was like super young.
Yeah,
but,
and then when we got older, we just didn't really have a desire to.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. Like,
I don't know. There were so many of them. That was the big reason I didn't really want to read them. So
I don't know. I feel like I may have read like part of one time and wasn't that big of a fan.
We were Origami Yoda kids.
We were Origami Yoda kids. We need a good Origami Yoda adaptation like this.
We need a mini series or something.
Oh, it'd be so good.
Yoda. That would be good
if it was done well. Like it has to be like this.
Oh my goodness.
But that being said, I really really love this movie, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Somehow it is amazing, and I don't know how they managed it.
I don't. This is like best case scenario, I think.
It's really, really funny. It looks good. The filmmaking is fun. The cast is insanely good.
Right.
The story works really well. Like it's very succinct. It's not perfect by any means.
No,
and honestly,
I don't think it's perfect.
We'll get into that like probably 2 weeks from now or something. But I think Roderick Rules is better.
Yeah.
But like this as a foray into Diary of a Wimpy Kid is like insane.
I don't know how they did it. Honestly.
I'm like, what? How have I not read these books after watching this?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really love it. I give it a 4 out of 5.
Not too shabby. I tend to agree with a lot of the stuff you said, and you know, all these child actors, it's really a testament to how good of a director this guy is, you know? Like, honestly.
No, it's a testament to Rowley's raw power.
I was about to say, that kid owns this role, man. And he rocks in Roderick Rules, too.
He does, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a great movie, one of the best family comedies I know of, really, like, especially outside of, like, the Disney sphere, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's
But Robbie,
what?
Disney owns it now.
Oh no,
Disney.
I forgot we had it. We owned it on Disney Plus. Like we streamed it there.
Disney owns everything, dude. Okay, I know this is random. This is a side note, but we turned this on, and at the beginning, it's like 75 years of Fox, and I'm like,
right.
Now it's dead.
Now Fox is dead. Long live Fox.
Long live Fox.
But yeah, very well made movie. Like I'm surprised at how good, like how well shot this movie is. Like
the lighting, man.
Yeah, the lighting looks great. The child actors are great. Actually, all of the performances are pretty great. Devon Bostick is in this.
Devon Bostick.
And he rules. But yeah, no, it's just a really fun movie, and I really admire how well it moves from bit to bit. Like the story is never not engaging, you know?
Yeah.
It's good stuff. That's good filmmaking. But yeah, great movie. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
Printed onto 35 millimeter. Right?
I was about to say that 35 millimeter scan looks clean. That was a good looking movie.
Right. So yeah, let's get into some more specifics. Let's talk about it. Let's break it down. Let's talk about how this movie grossed 76 million.
Okay, I was about to say that can't be billion, right?
I would say, Robbie, billion.
$76 billion.
I think more people would be talking about Diary of a Wimpy Kid if it grossed $76 billion.
You know what? It deserved it.
It deserved it. Do you have any questions to get us into the discussion?
I was gonna ask something about how it handles adaptation, but literally we just mentioned that none of us have read the book.
How does it handle that? Well, you know, from my expert opinion of never reading the books, it's pretty good.
What do you think of Greg as the main character? Because that's really that's what makes or breaks this movie.
Greg is very much and it's very interesting too, because again, I had never read the books, and I did not know, and I don't know if Greg in the books is this terrible of a person. But it's a very bold choice, right? Especially in the movie, man. Like, Greg is literally the worst human being on the planet, I think. And he's like, is a really interesting protagonist, because a lot of times in movies like this, you don't really have this delusional level of narcissism portrayed in your main character,
right?
And it makes for I think like a unique and cool lesson for kids.
Absolutely.
And B, just a really cool framing for how to get into the world of everything that goes on in this. Like, I can't imagine this world portrayed in any other way besides Greg's insane ramblings.
Right. No, but just like the character writing for him it feels so natural and just good, and it's really fun to watch. Like, yeah,
and they never go too over the top with him where you're like, oh my gosh, why isn't he like dead or something?
Right? Yeah, no, he's just like a specific brand of terrible, like human garbage.
Yeah, that you've probably seen in some kids in middle school before.
Yeah.
But like, it's very interesting to watch the character progress and realize how delusional he is by like the midpoint where he has like no friends and is like the least popular person in the world. Right,
man. That's good stuff,
dude. And the emotional core of the movie works really, really well, tying back to Rowley. Like, Rowley is super important to the movie, and the way the two actors play off of each other is insane. Like, their chemistry, in fact, all of the cast's chemistry, beyond just like their acting, is insane.
It's so funny. I'll stand by my statement that this is written like a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, where there's not really like so much as concrete plot points as there are just
shifting
like
in dynamics.
Yeah, shifting in character dynamics as the movie goes on.
There you go.
Until it reaches a natural like conclusion to their arcs.
This is a PTA kids movie.
It's PTA for kids. I'll stand by that.
No, I agree. This is good stuff.
But yeah, no, it has such a nice, and because it has such a good grasp on like the shift in character dynamics, it does a really good job of like harvesting all of the good comedic bits from the different sections of the movie.
Yeah, because again, like you said, like a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, it doesn't really have like a solid plot. Like what happens in Diary of a Wimpy Kid? Greg goes to middle school, shenanigans happen.
Shenanigans.
he gets the cheese touch.
That's pretty much the whole movie. Like there's different sections and different like bits, but like that's pretty much it. There's not like concrete sections of the movie, really.
Which again allows for, especially this movie, because I think it's interesting of note that Roderick Rules does not play like that.
No, it's
Roderick
a bit more
Rules
concrete.
Has a very like concrete,
sure.
solid plot that it's going for. But I think that works really well in this movie because this movie, it's got a lot of ground to cover in terms of setting up this world and how everything works, and just the character of Greg, making him interesting to watch. So it's got to give like all of the runtime to just let the characters breathe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's very, very cool. What do you think of Rowley?
Rowley. Okay, so we mentioned that it's kind of like a PTA movie, but like the Greg Rowley thing is so good in this.
Right.
Like he's good in the next movie too, but he's obviously like not the focus of that one.
Yeah. Different dynamics.
But I don't know, like he's such a joy to watch. Like there's something so delicious about Greg's like
Don't say delicious. I hate that.
There's something so like nice about like Greg's delusion being so like perfectly contrasted. Like it's exactly what Greg needs to become. Like to the letter.
Yeah,
and it's so nice to just like see Rowley succeed.
Dude, I know, right? Like Rowley, most of the time, like, because Rowley is a character, and I think that's where the dynamic works really interestingly, because Rowley is a character that most movies would make fun of. Mm-hmm. Most movies would be like, oh, this kid, this idiot, oh, look at him, he's so delusional about everybody being nice, and he just wants to be sweet and everything.
He just wants to be himself.
He's a nerd or whatever. I don't know. Like this, like a normal middle school movie would be mean to him. Not even just their characters, but the movie itself in text would normally just be mean to this kind of character. Yeah. So that kind of puts you as an audience member into the shoes of one Greg Heffley.
You're saying it subverts expectations.
It subverts your expectations.
No, that's a good point.
Then you watch
it kind of pits you against Rowley at first, and then like you're like, oh wait, he's actually like,
and then you watch Rowley succeed in everything and be an amazing person, and you're like, oh my gosh, Rowley is the greatest person in the world. and that's paired with the fact that Robbie made this note while we were watching the movie. I think it's true. Almost every single word Greg says to Rowley is some form of an insult to him.
I was about to say every single, like, even if it's not just like a direct criticism of what he does, it's always some underhanded like compliment. Like he's always insulting him or undermining him in some way.
Like the way, and then the way it builds up too. I think the breaking arm thing is a great rise of tension between their dynamic.
Oh my goodness.
Because again, Greg in his completely delusional state that we've watched him with would naturally think, dang, this cast has made him super popular.
Oh my goodness.
This sucks for me. What can it? Because like the entire movie, he's literally just trying to exploit everyone, including Rowley.
He's trying to exploit anyone and anything that he can to get to the top of his quote like social
his
food chain.
Imaginary food chain that doesn't exist.
Right.
He placed himself at like number 19 going into school.
Right. Oh my goodness, dude.
And yet he is the one, and I think this was actually interesting on this viewing. I didn't really think about it. He is the one when he first got to school who was so stuck up enough that when people did come up to him, he just brushed them off.
Right. Oh my goodness. It's just it's such a joy to watch like this movie. I don't know why. It's it's so much fun, and it's so funny.
Right, and this is one of the movies too. Like this is one of those kind of movies, which often, again, in the PTA style structure, that like these kind of movies usually take place over a long stretch of time.
Yeah, I mean, this is like almost a whole year. I don't think it's quite a whole year.
I don't know. I think it's a whole year.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't know. There's no official end of the school year, but
it's probably close to a whole year. Yeah.
But like with that passage of time,
or well, no, I guess it is like over a whole year.
I was about to say because
you see winter pass.
I was about to say you see winter, you see Halloween.
It is actually a pretty sprawling movie. I didn't think about that.
And it works really well as, again, these characters and their dynamics to be believable need so much time to just breathe separate from each other,
right?
Even if you don't show all that time.
I love all the rally exclusive scenes, like the dance scene at the
dude, the dance scene is so good. I need a sped up GIF version of that. That would be amazing.
I would honestly just take like a Rowley solo movie of him just vibing in middle school.
Yeah, it is kind of sad because, again, like you said, in Roderick Rules, Rowley is definitely not the focus.
No, he's only in like half
like
the scenes.
Fregley levels of being there. Yeah. In this movie, you know, which is sad because he's really fun to watch. He's such a joy. But they have other things to focus on in that movie. But I think just what's really, really cool about this movie in terms of like structure and everything is how they use it so well for its comedy. Because again, this movie is like funny throughout,
right?
And it uses the changing of dynamics consistently to build on its comedy.
Exactly. Yeah. No, because anytime they can do like a Roderick and Greg like buddy joke, they cram all of those that they can into the first little bit of the movie, and they're all so good. And like as it shifts onward and onward, like you just get more and more good dynamics, like Rowley's new friend and everything like that. Like there's so many good bits.
The comedy is essentially, I think the best way to put it, the comedy is building just kind of like in the exact same form that the tension is building between like Greg and Rowley. But like the comedy is building in like every aspect. Like again, take Roderick and Greg and their different comedic bits. They build and they build and they build, arguably culminating in the "I'm sorry, women."
I'm sorry, women. That's such a good scene.
Which is one of the greatest scenes in the whole movie, and that's cool.
Dude, I had never noticed his friends saying "yeah, women" in the background.
Yeah, women.
That scene is so good. Also, shout out, one thing I wanted to mention if we're talking about the comedy, like the cinematography is so good at highlighting all of the different comedic bits and making them land correctly.
Right.
Like all of the different like facial expressions and small ticks like that you get, not to mention like great choreography and performances from everyone. Like the blocking and everything, it's all great.
Dude, just thinking about the scene where Greg is shoving children into the hole in the rain. Like without the way that was shot, that wouldn't work nearly as well. It's that's one of the funniest bits. The way he looks as he's just like and the children are just falling into the pit.
The little like overhead shot at the end of the scene is so funny.
No, like the sense that the camera knows what it's doing is kind of insane.
Yeah, no, I was about to say
movie.
I would just wanted to praise the cinematography, man. It's really good.
But do you have another question?
I don't. Do you have one?
Well, I guess I do.
Okay.
Pull out my questions.
All right, fine.
Do you have a favorite scene or sequence?
I do.
Ooh, he does.
I do.
Pre-prepared. No being like, oh.
Well, crap, now I forgot what it was.
Dang it.
I swear I had one.
Favorite scene or sequence? There's a lot of scenes that go on.
I was about to say, as we mentioned, with most Paul Thomas Anderson-y kind of movies, it's kind of hard to pick one because it's mostly just made of bits.
Yeah, I was about to say what's nice about this though, especially it being like a comedy that takes place over different seasons, you can kind of be like, oh yeah, the Halloween sequence, or something like that. Like there are defined beats in the movie.
Yeah. I really honestly just love like the first like time they go to middle school. There's so many good jokes, like the first day stuff. It's so funny.
I think I would probably say for me, I don't know if I have like a favorite scene,
a definitive favorite.
but like the middle section around like nobody likes Greg at all.
That's a fun section.
That section is just really, really fun and consistently funny. To just, I don't know, seeing Greg after all of these delusions like just fail over and over again in comedic ways.
He just keeps doubling down, man.
And he doubles down to how great he is. It's really great. On top of that, some honorable mentions are obviously the like one of the best performances. It's not even really a full scene, but one of the best line deliveries for sure is the whole don't call me, don't come over to my house.
Come by my house.
Like that performance is genuinely like we all joke about it, but like because it's so good for no reason, man. He's giving like the Oscar worthy performance and this speech to him.
Like I said, the best performances are the easiest to mock.
It's the PTA statistic, right?
Exactly.
It turns out this really is just a mini PTA movie.
Have you seen the Rowley fan cam for this?
No.
Oh my gosh, I saw a fan cam one time. It was like a minute and a half of just all of Rowley like having fun, and it had like the "Don't call me, don't come by my house."
Don't come by my house.
It was just like best Rowley moments in this movie.
On top of that though, one of my favorite like random comedic just offbeat scene things is the whole working for me one day thing.
Dude, I almost forgot about like the cutaways in this. They're good. They're actually good.
I don't know. Family Guy.
They put so much effort into them.
Dude, like the wrestling cut. Okay, but honestly, that was like the standard for this era kids movies. Like remember what was that, like Judy Moody or whatever?
Oh yeah.
Another again
Not So Bummer Summer.
Again, that era of like those Scholastic Book Fair
movie,
the Scholastic Book Fair kids book adaptations to movie era. That's what that was. And that was like the go-to. That was the standard, was good cutaway bits.
Yeah, man.
Because it's all about the imagination of the children.
I miss when like kids comedies had like class, you know?
Right? Like this
is a classy film.
I was about to say, not to be like pretentious about it or anything, but especially compared to a lot of kids movies that come out now, which either run from like absolutely cringe or just feel like they're trying to be prestige movies for kids.
And I mean, Pixar is very responsible. I would point the finger very largely at Pixar for stuff like that.
Yeah, but even taking like some new like Disney Plus original movies that I've watched and stuff, they seem to try to be having like this big like grand thing to them, and I'm like, why? Why are you trying to be so prestigious?
Just be what you want to be. And don't be anything else. It's the message of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Micah.
Yeah, because like this movie is classy, in the fact that it's not trying to do like anything else but exactly what it is.
It just is what it is, and it does its very best at being what it is.
It looks great.
I love
sounds great. Is great.
That's what I want from any movie. That's my entire thesis for filmmaking.
That is Ravi's thesis. He mentions this all the time.
You should just make a movie and make that movie. Don't try to be something else.
Don't try and influence the movie by trends of other movies.
Exactly. Just do what your movie should be done.
Tell that to Disney, Ravi.
Oh no. Just make your movie and call it a day. And that's what the Diary of a Wimpy Kid crew did.
And thank you for tuning into my video essay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was trying to think of anything else specifically to talk about with this because it's a really good movie,
right? All the Roderick scenes are good.
So neither of us gave it neither of us gave it that 5. What do you think is holding it back in your mind?
In my mind, I don't know. I really don't know. I think it lacks a bit of gravitas that I would like to see, a bit of like a more dramatic feeling to all of it.
Yeah.
Like I wish it would go more over the top with some of its stuff. Like a lot of its beats would dig a bit deeper.
Yeah, I was about to say, really I think specifically one of the biggest reasons I haven't given it higher than a 4 is actually the way it handles the end. While I really love the end and the way it builds to its dynamics to the point
it has a very good ending.
I feel like there's something that just doesn't work as well between the characters. I think honestly because it feels a little rushed.
It does. No, it does.
To just go from these characters and they're finally at like their lowest of like they're there.
Yeah.
And Rowley's still upset with Greg.
Yeah.
They're there, and then they just, like, the people from Halloween come back and throw us into our big conclusion. I feel like maybe...
It works, for sure.
No, it works. I think maybe it just doesn't feel quite earned enough for
exactly.
Greg.
Yeah.
And you'll see again in the next movie that he really hasn't. It takes the whole trilogy for him to actually learn to not be a terrible person.
I was about to say, he does change, and that's something I admired about Roderick Rules, is that it keeps his character arc going.
His character arc goes, but his character arc follows through the entire trilogy while he's at middle school.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it almost feels, because it feels like such a big moment and then dropped for, again, a community. I don't know. It's good. Like, it works well while you're watching the movie, but there's something about it that just doesn't quite fully feel as
well
good,
thought through.
Yeah,
as
well thought through
stuff.
as, like, again, like the "don't call me, don't come by my house" moment.
And I know, I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly, that's actually a different ending than the book has.
I have no idea.
So I don't know. Like, I would have to read the book, but I'm pretty sure I'm remembering that right. So, but yeah, no, I think you're right though. I think it's really just that, like, final section of the film doesn't feel quite as punchy, or not as punchy. It's as tuned in as the rest of it does.
Yeah, because, like, outside of that, there's some pacing things that I'm not the biggest fan of it.
Occasionally, yeah.
It's not even that it drags. It just feels not quite as succinct as I would like it to be.
Yeah, for sure.
But, like,
especially, it came to my attention this last time. The Halloween section feels a bit slow this time around.
No, I think the Halloween section is when it has probably the least to offer as a movie. It feels very filler-esque, just to get you, again, the plot point that will later lead to the finale.
I wish they would have thrown in some more fun bits for the Halloween stuff, or just cut it down a little. One or the other.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. The best thing that came out of the Halloween bit, honestly, is the pushing the kids into the hole.
Right. I really like, I will say, when they open the garage door with the leaf blower and the weed whacker. It's a good moment.
Yeah, because I think what I feel here, even though I can't really articulate it that well, is that, like, I wanted to see kind of more from Greg and Rowley at the end. Yeah. Like, more of their kind of... And I know it's a very common kids movie thing, and it's how kids actually are. It's how friendship actually works. If you get in a big fight with your friend, and you're still, like, at some point actually friends, it's pretty easy to be like, hey,
to just hop back in,
sorry, and then just become friends again. That's a very common thing, but at the same time, with these characters and how brutal Greg is shown,
so petty in this movie.
You never really once see Greg be a good friend to Rowley, except for that one specific moment. Yeah. Even afterwards, they don't really give you anything afterwards. So it just doesn't feel quite as dialed in.
Yeah,
quite as.
Yeah, it doesn't give you the same sort of satisfaction that you get from some of the other beats.
Yeah, because I think most of the other beats build extremely naturally. The characters grow to that point extremely naturally. The comedy builds extremely naturally. And then you've kind of hit your peak, and it doesn't feel like it fully digs into what all is there, like what could be there. Not even that what's there is bad, but
exactly.
It just doesn't reach in far enough.
And I mean, that's why I gave it a 4.5. Like, I think it's pretty close to being 4. Like
that's
top tier, like gold standard for family comedies. It's so good.
But no, I really appreciate what the movie is trying to do.
Absolutely. I don't really have anything else to say about it. Like, it's solid and really well directed. It's got a great cast. It's just a really good movie. It kept surprising me because we watched this for the first time. I don't remember how long ago it was.
Probably like a year ago.
Yeah, probably about a year ago, I would guess. And like I was shocked by how much I enjoyed it. I was like bracing myself for another like Alexander's terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Like that was the quality I was expecting.
That's the kind of thing. Because again, we never read the books.
Yeah.
And like we didn't know. We hadn't heard anything. Actually, the only reason I wanted to watch these in the first place was because Brown Table did his series on them, and I watched them. Like, I watched the series, and I was like, these actually look pretty good.
These actually look pretty great.
Hold on. And then, like, they added them to Disney Plus, and I was like, well, I'll give it a go. And, like, it's really good,
so good
for no reason. Like, it's
why?
very surprising. I was actually going to ask you,
Okay.
Because I think it would play to how well I think specific things, like how understated specific things work well about this, like as an adaptation, even though I have not read the book.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you how it compares to the animated one.
Animated. Oh, man.
Just like some of the features that make this better than the animated one, even though they're, from what I understand, pretty similar.
I was about to say, in plots, the animated one, this is in reference to the 2021 movie. I think it's 2021. But they did another Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie adaptation in 3D animation, and it actually looks pretty cool. I like the visual aesthetic of it quite a bit. But it just lacks the character that this one has. Like, not even just the style in its filmmaking, because that one, it does have a style, the new one, but it's just not nearly as fun to watch at all. And the character dynamic, as we mentioned at the center of this, is Greg and Rowley, and the new one just doesn't really focus on them in a substantial way. Stuff just kind of happens, and which
I think is a more book accurate version.
Yeah, exactly. Because like Greg isn't nearly as like blatantly terrible in the animated one, and I think that's really to its disadvantage. Because you're like, well, are we supposed to be rooting for Greg? Like what? Because then he'll occasionally just do something like absolutely horrible. And I'll be like, what? Wait, what a minute? What? What are you saying to me right now?
Do they have like inner monologue stuff from Greg?
I don't remember. I think maybe. I believe so.
Because I was about to say,
it's a very forgettable.
One of the best things that works really well in this movie, in the live action one, is his inner monologue kind of showing you, like his diary, showing you how, like, what his mindset is, showing you just how he views everyone and everything.
You know, come to think of it, I don't think they use it in the same way, because I think they do have like the diary framing device kind of thing, but I think they only really use it to like do exposition, like explain stuff. But that's about it. Like, it doesn't usually give you much insight into Greg's character, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, because again, one of the biggest things that happens in a lot of book adaptations, again, for another school, like another school movie example, something like Harry Potter, which funnily enough follows a similar structure to these kind of movies.
Yeah.
Most of what you get in the Harry Potter books, most of what tunes you into what's going on, is Harry's inner monologue.
Yeah, there's a lot of it.
He's a lot different of a character in the books than he is in the movie. He's a lot more mean of a character in the books than he is in the movie, because you get to see all of these thoughts that he's having about the people around him. And one of the biggest things in book and movie, like book to movie adaptations of ones that are first person, extremely like inner monologue thought based, that struggles is they usually don't convey that in any good way. Like, they have the acting and the actors are like trying, but
that's the big downfall for Goblet of Fire in my mind. That's always been the thing, because Harry's arc doesn't really make much sense outside of the book. Yeah, because
Goblet of Fire is very much like...
It's a very emotion-driven story.
And it's very Harry-specific.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very just Harry doing his own thing more so than any of the other books.
Yeah.
And he's got to have a lot of inner monologue in the book, and he just doesn't have that. And it's the longest movie in the series. We talked about the Harry Potter.
We did a whole episode on Goblet of Fire.
But I think that's one of this movie's biggest strengths, is it not only understands how to use it in a way that doesn't feel exposition-y, but it understands using it in just the perfect way to portray everything we need to at each given moment for Greg's, like what's going through Greg's head.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, anytime there's a shift in Greg's mindset, it always gives us like that little tap on the shoulder, like, hey, this is what Greg is thinking right now. This is why. And then it gives us like a handful of scenes of him like trying to execute his
I was about to say
plans.
The comedy always plays off of whatever monologue you were given before the scene.
Exactly, yeah.
And not like, so it's never in your face, like this scene is telling us what is happening. This scene, like the monologue, is setting it up.
I mean, it's like all good jokes. It just subverts like Greg's expectations in this case. of
and
what
again,
should happen.
half of the movie's brilliance, in my opinion, is getting you into the headspace of Greg, even though Greg is a terrible person. Again, I think Riley subverting expectations of just being a really great character that you love.
Yeah.
Again, you just, when you first go in, you think, oh, this is the movie, this is the character that the movie's going to make fun of.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's so good. But yeah, the animated one, honestly, its biggest downfall for the animated one is just how boring and forgettable it is. It's a very vanilla adaptation.
Which I was about to say, because that's why I wanted to bring it up. Like, because what makes this so memorable, so exciting, like people, even, I don't know, people around our age,
a lot of people
who would have grown up with the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books, you know, they really like this movie, and they talk about it. They remember this movie. This movie's really memorable. Everybody remembers the Rowley "Don't call me, don't come by my house." It's that good.
Everyone remembers Roderick, Mike.
And I'm pretty sure people have already Roderick. Very good. Very good.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure everybody has already forgotten the animated one.
Dude, I honestly, like, until you mentioned it, I had honestly kind of forgotten it existed. I thought about it yesterday when I was making the cover art for this episode, but like, honestly, I hadn't thought about it since I watched it.
Which, if you have, and this is my opinion for book adaptations, if you have a good book, the worst thing your movie can be is forgettable.
Just a flat adaptation of the book.
Yeah, just like there's the story
with no vision behind it.
And I think like the live action movie is everything but that.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's really good. It's not, I mean, like I said, we haven't read the book, so I can't speak directly to it, but it doesn't feel like a book. It feels like it was made to be watched, you know?
Yeah, which again is a testament to something like this.
It's a good screenplay.
Because even Judy Moody, haven't watched
that
in
movie
a hot
has
minute.
Some big problems.
But I know, but I'm saying like even Judy Moody, if I recall, feels kind of weird for how it handles its character if you haven't read the book.
For sure. Yeah,
Judy is just
movie.
A really weird character to follow if you've only watched that movie.
I always forget that Judy like had her own thing going, because I always read like the Stink books when I was younger, and I like Judy's a character in them, but she's not like a main character.
What if they adapted the Stink books? That would be funny.
Would be so weird.
Those are such weird books.
They're like the weirdest shenanigans possible. What would you even do? You'd have to do like a series. You couldn't do a whole movie off a Stink book.
It would be hilarious. Again, now I'm feeling nostalgic for this really weird brand of like kids movie that came out, and like when did this movie come out?
2010.
Like, I was about to say early 2010s.
That's crazy. I can't believe it's that new. Yeah, I mean, I remember when like Dog Days came out in theaters.
Well, I mean, like the book series isn't that old.
No, I remember when the book series released too. Obviously, like I said, we went to the Scholastic book fairs. You always see them. Or I was like, what's the new Diary of a Wimpy Kid book?
Right. I always like the color of the different stuff. I don't know. Let's see. I'm looking up when it released. Yeah, 2007 was when the first book came out.
Wow, I didn't know it was that new. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like it was again. Yeah. We were the people who would have grown up.
I was about to say I was 5 years old. That's about the right age for when like the book series was getting going and everything.
No, so
that makes sense.
Now I'm feeling a little nostalgic. The only thing that I would shout out again before we wrap it up, before we put a nice little bow on Diary of a Wimpy Kid, is the parents. They're so funny in this.
I was about to say, shout out to like kids movies who understand how to use parent characters without fully mocking them, you know?
Right, like they're never completely the butt of the joke, but like they're always funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's not always mocking them, but they're always funny, and like
dude, the
they're
performances
always fun. When
Steve Zahn is amazing. I love him so much in these movies.
He is really funny in this.
He's like
he's even better in Roderick Rules.
Right, and same thing with like I was gonna say like the family dynamic works really really well, and they all play off of each other in a really really funny way.
Yeah.
Roderick, Greg, the parents, like everything just man, and again the next movie is just more of
I was about to say I would have talked more about Roderick if we weren't going to talk about him on Roderick Rules, you know?
I mean he's really, again, because this is kind of like very much a trilogy.
Yeah,
you very much feel that like he's kind of a side character for this. Like very
no,
much
he is, yeah.
relegated again to like Fregly levels of screen time.
He gets like a few good bits throughout the movie, and he's really funny and like memorable for that, but like he's not like a main character.
Delegated to Fregly levels of that's my comedic bit side character.
Meter.
The Fregly meter. How much screen time do they have compared to Fregly? That shows how important of a character to the plot they are.
I have a feeling I have like Fregly levels of screen time in my friends' lives. that's the level I'm involved in their plot lines.
But yeah, that is Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Great movie.
Great movie, man. Fantastic
really funny.
movie.
Like it blew me out of the water when we first watched it because I was not expecting much.
Right.
And I've just enjoyed it more and more each time.
Yeah, I mean, I've called it a joy multiple times, but it really is a joy to watch. It's such a fun movie.
Again, the cast, the direction, the writing, like it's just good.
No, when I don't remember who suggested it. It was probably it was either my mom or you who suggested doing this series on the podcast, and I was like, that'll be so much fun.
Dang, I thought you suggested
was
it.
it me?
So I guess
I don't remember. No one knows who suggested this. Someone was like in the corner and they just shouted "Diary of a Wimpy Kid."
And Greg Heffley was in the corner like Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
I was like, great idea, Micah.
I was like, that's a good idea, Robbie.
But yeah, no, great movie. Can't wait to talk about Roderick Rules.
Greg is such a fun character to watch. Watch this movie.
Shout out to Raleigh.
Raleigh, amazing. Let's get into the what we watched.
Absolutely.
Segment. All right, so for those of you who are new to the podcast, the What We Watched segment, as I readjust in my chair,
wow.
the What We Watched segment is just supposed to be a short little segment on the end, where we talk about all the other movies we've watched since the last episode.
Heck yeah, baby!
This being 2 weeks again because we weren't there last week.
Took a week off.
So we'll be brief on the ones that we did not watch together, and even briefer on the so yeah, we'll just give our quick little thoughts, a rating, and just go through them all. So we are starting
on the 25th of July,
right after Zim.
Invader Zim.
After we recorded our Invader Zim episode, we watched a movie.
Heck yeah, we watched Pride and Prejudice for the very first time, the 2005 Keira Knightley one. Very, very good. Like I had heard,
very good.
I'd heard nothing but good things about it, but it was mostly from like Tumblr girls,
right?
So I don't know. I'm always like, should I trust their opinion?
The ones who are like, OMG, the hand tremble.
Exactly, but like they were right about this one.
No, this is a very, very good movie. Period piece, like classical literature romance adaptations have to have a lot to go right.
This is like the gold standard from what I've seen, honestly.
And this has a lot that goes right.
Right?
The cast is really, really good. For some reason, the cinematography is on like X Games mode.
Right? It's so well shot. Oh, my goodness.
Like the movement of the camera and everything is so good. And it's genuinely a neat and cool adaptation of the book.
Absolutely. I love almost everything about it. Keira Knightley's haircut, 10 of 10. You'd love to see it.
The movie, 10 of 10.
The movie, 10 of 10. Exactly.
But yeah, I gave it a 5 out of 5.
As did I.
Then we went to the theater.
We drove out to the theater.
We went to the theater.
Hopped in our motor buggies and drove to the
and watched Jordan Peele's Nope in IMAX.
Yeah, baby.
Freaking cool.
It's a
I love
delicious
Nope.
movie, man.
Nope is amazing.
It's so good.
Very much my kind of horror.
Important to note that this was our first Jordan Peele movie.
Yeah, first Jordan Peele movie. I've still tried. Okay, I swear I saw Get Out everywhere until Nope released. Once Nope came out in theaters, it's gone.
Can't find it anywhere.
Gone from the Walmarts, gone from the libraries. It's gone everywhere. And
right? No, I saw it in like the 750 Blu-ray bin like a couple months before Nope came out, and then now I can't find it anywhere.
And maybe that's just saying that like people saw Nope coming out and they all bought Jordan Peele movies, which good for Jordan Peele.
Yeah, right.
But
if his other movies are anywhere near as good as this is, I'm very excited to see them.
Yeah, same. Stephen Yeun. Shout out to Stephen Yeun.
Shout out to all the performances in this, man.
Dude, Daniel Kaluuya's performance is insane.
He's so good in
Keke
this.
Palmer is really fun to watch.
Right?
It's just fantastic. If you're old enough and are okay with what's in it, I cannot suggest.
Oh no, I can't recommend
enough.
It actually entered my top 50 like favorite films of all time. I'm a sucker for a good sci-fi movie and like prestige horror, and this is
Jupe.
This is like top tier of both of those. So
Jupe.
I love it. It's so good. Definitely give it a shot if you haven't seen it yet.
I give it a 5 out of 5.
I also give it a 5 out of 5.
Then on the 26th, we watched The Requiem.
The Requiem
2022.
It's a YouTube Red type movie.
Featuring
honestly.
Alicia Silverstone.
Alicia Silverstone.
In the worst role I've ever seen Alicia Silverstone.
Major miscast for this movie, man. She was not the right pick for this movie.
She was not.
Not remotely.
Nothing was very good about this movie. Most things were pretty stupid.
I admire the effort,
and
I guess.
I did not enjoy the performances.
There's occasionally a good decision creatively, but most of the movie is just very boring or just kind of grating to watch. So
I gave it a 1.5 out of 5.
As did I.
Oh wow, we've just been rating everything
just rating everything the same.
And it's gonna keep going, Ravi.
Later that day
we watched First Reformed. This was a rewatch for me because I bought it the moment I watched it.
Baby's first Schrader.
Baby's first Schrader, and I wanted to show it to Robbie.
Oh man.
And this movie has entered my top 4 favorites on Letterboxd right now.
Nice.
I ascend while watching this movie.
My goodness, it's so
and
good.
It might be the greatest movie ever crafted.
That's how I feel about Punch Drunk Love, Micah.
I still would not call it my favorite. Little Women's still probably my favorite movie. But like this movie is absolutely insane. And I kind of agree with Karsten on this, that it's one of, for some reason, like the most rewatchable movies I've ever seen, even though on paper it doesn't seem like it would be.
Right? Like it's such an odd movie. It's a real oddity, but it has such a like absolute like stone cold grasp on how to shoot and edit and pace a movie, like just how to make a film.
And I was about to say, and it fully understands everything that it's trying to go for and what it's trying to convey to the audience, like with the characters.
It's kind of awe-inspiring. It's really good.
Fantastic. I give it a, if you can't guess, 5 out of 5.
I also give it a 5 out of 5.
You're just copying me now. You're just copying me. That night, late into the night, I watched the final episode, as I had been doing for the last like month, of Scenes from a Marriage, the TV cut.
The TV cut, baby. The Bergman one, not the new one.
Ingmar Bergman, no Oscar Isaac.
Sadly.
No, man. I couldn't diss any of this cast. They're amazing.
Right? No, yeah. Stacked cast, honestly.
This is absolutely insane how it got made. I won't go too much into it because I could probably talk about it for hours. But just what it accomplishes isn't even just like saying it's a feat of screenwriting doesn't even like comprehend what's going on here.
That's a long series, regardless of how good it is. It's impressive how long it is.
On top of the fact that these are like the 2 most interesting, engaging, fun, heartbreaking, like real feeling performances I've ever seen from 2 leads in a romantic-ish movie.
Romantic quote unquote movie.
So yeah, like I'm very curious to watch the theatrical cut because I cannot imagine cutting anything from this. I gave it a 5 out of 5.
Who'd have thought it? And then on the 27th, I watched Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes for the very first time.
Those 2 minutes.
2010 indie.
Isn't it Korean?
I believe it's Korean. That looks like Korean. But yeah, very good movie. It's very fun. They just it looks like they had a blast making it, honestly. It utilizes its sci-fi premise in a really fun way. All of its character stuff is really fun. And you'd think it would get like boring. For those who don't know, the sci-fi premise has it repeating dialogue and scenes, like whole scenes almost, over and over again. And somehow it doesn't get boring or annoying.
Yeah.
So shout out to Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes. Go check it out if you haven't already. I can't believe they shot like most of it on like an Android phone, and it still looks pretty good. So yeah, very good movie. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
On the 28th, I watched Shark Night 3D.
Shark Night 3D.
Which sounds bad.
Honestly, it kind of looks pretty metal, honestly.
But it was honestly because my mom was like, hey, what if we watched a shark movie every day of Shark Week and did not once turn on Jaws, which kills me.
Jaws easily the best shark movie.
Instead, she turned on like every absolute garbage shark movie that exists because Jaws is the only good one, which is crazy. But Shark Night 3D was the best of the worst. Its premise is so stupid and so weird that it becomes really fun to watch.
Nice.
And like it's not paced
I'm looking
great,
forward to it,
but it's just fun. I don't know, like the cast seems to be having a really good time. It's stupid. It seems like it would be if it had like a little bit better of a script and like a director probably. I think this could have been like a really, really fun campy horror movie.
Nice.
And
was it shot with like the 3D frames and everything?
I have no idea.
Okay.
It looked like a normal movie to me.
Okay.
But yeah, I gave it a 2.5. Not very good, but it was the most fun and interesting out of any of them that I saw.
Yeah, and I watched a whole stretch of movies without Micah. Hold on.
I was working.
Yeah, that's right.
So that was the last
That's
movie
why
I
you were
watched
so
for a
tired,
bit.
Micah. But yeah, on the 28th, I watched Greyhound, an Apple TV Plus original film. I believe Tom Hanks' debut as a screenwriter. It's actually pretty great. I liked it a lot. It's very contained. It kind of has like the same sort of thing that Stanley Kubrick's The Killing has going for it, where it's just kind of like people doing something very well, like that sort of thing, like an execution of a premise kind of thing. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No,
but Greyhound,
I get what you're going
interesting, fun. I liked it. I wish the lighting was better, but it was still pretty good. I gave it a 4 out of 5. And then later that night, I watched Ski Patrol, a 90s, like, I don't even know if it's like a B tier comedy. I guess it's like a C tier comedy. But yeah, Ski Patrol occasionally has some fun ideas, but honestly, none of its jokes really land the way I wanted them to. So I don't know. It was kind of a boring watch. It wasn't bad really, but not exactly good. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5.
2.5.
And then I watched 101 Dalmatians 2, Patch's London Adventure.
Whoa.
Which was much better than I expected it to be. Like, it was actually pretty good. But yeah, I don't know what to say about it. Like, it was fun. You get Jason Alexander saying "Goodnight, sweet prince," and that honestly is worth watching the movie for. So I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. And then I watched a new PTA film, new to me anyway.
New to him.
Adam suggested that I watch Magnolia before it left Canopy, which I don't know when films leave Canopy. I don't know how that works.
Does anything ever leave?
Right, exactly. Yeah, like I've never seen a film leave Canopy. But anyway, Magnolia, first time watch, very long movie, very good movie. I think it's the worst I've seen of Paul Thomas Anderson's work so far, and I still think it's like pretty much a perfect drama. So yeah, do with that what you will. It's the first time I've like actually sobbed watching a movie. It's so sad. It's a really beautiful movie. Like I would recommend it if you're old enough to watch it. It's so good. Tom Cruise is really fantastic in it. Like the whole cast is really great. But it has a lot of really interesting ideas, and it's got some really great character writing too. It's a very impressive screenplay. I give it a 5 out of 5.
Wow.
And then on the 31st, I watched Adventureland for the very first time. And it was pretty great. I don't know. Like, it was a solid comedy. I know not as many people tend to, like, think as highly of it as I do. But I think it works pretty well. I liked it. It was fun. I don't really have that much to say about Adventureland. But isn't it weird that like Zombieland and Adventureland came out in the same year?
It's a little weird.
I think that's weird.
What did you rate it?
I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Then on the 31st, I watched Nope. I rewatched Nope in theaters.
Heck yeah, man.
This time with my girlfriend, who does not like this kind of movie. Typically, like it's not her kind of horror, even though horror is her like claimed favorite genre. But I was like, hey, please pay attention. Don't tune out.
Don't tune out from Nope.
And
good.
she ended up really liking it, as you do. I gave it a 5 out of 5 again. It is really cool on a rewatch. Like so many of the elements work really, really uniquely on a rewatch.
Absolutely.
Shout out to rewatching it. Then on the 1st, we watched Kronos.
Yeah,
1993, Guillermo del Toro's first foray into feature-length films.
Heck yeah. I mean, Del Toro has always rocked and probably will continue to rock for the remainder of time.
Del Toro, he is infinite, and he will rock infinitely.
Right.
I loved this movie. I love Del Toro so much, but I loved this movie. It's not. You could tell it's early. It's not as good, especially on a screenplay level, as a lot of his later work.
No.
But like so much of
Still
what
very
makes
cool.
him a really, really unique, fun, and cool director is present in this, while also probably being his strongest movie in terms of like strongest in influences. Like you can very much feel the influences of it more so than any of his other movies, which are very, very heavy with their influence.
Right. No, I think I mentioned in my review that this is basically just a 40s vampire movie set in like the 90s, you know?
But it's so cool, and I like to think that Mike Flanagan has seen it, because a couple of the scenes are so similar to some scenes in Midnight Mass that
shout out to Midnight Mass.
Shout out to Midnight Mass, but this was great. I loved it.
Yeah, Kronos, very cool movie. Micah is a bigger Del Toro fan than me, but like I still am so happy whenever I get to see one of his movies. He's a great talent.
I give it a 4.5 out of 5.
I give it a 4 out of 5 for me.
Then we watched Stephen King, Rob Reiner's Misery.
You know us. We're Rob Reiner fans.
Yeah.
But yeah, we finally watched Misery for the first time, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, I really honestly like expected it to be not that good.
I don't know
because
why.
most Stephen King adaptations I've ever seen have been not that good.
Yeah, fair enough.
And like the only one that has worked well for me, it is nothing like it's the opposite kind of Stephen King. Like Stephen King usually wrote like 2 different kinds of books. He wrote his weird cosmic wacky horror, and then he wrote his like Secret Window Misery.
Yeah, just like his like straight up more drama kind of things.
Yeah. And this worked like really, really well.
Good.
It's so good. I don't know what's going on here. I know Rob Reiner is a fantastic director.
I was about to say, this has just got me excited to watch
and
more.
James Caan and Kathy Bates are great actors, but
He's
like
so good in
this is just great.
It's just like a classic film. Like it feels so timeless. I love it.
Yeah. Though I don't think I could ever do it on the podcast, because it's one of those movies that I was just like, yep, that's very good.
Well, it's a very simple movie, kind of like our searching episode, where it's like it does one thing really, really well, and that's like its whole shtick. But yeah, Misery, very good. I gave it a 4.5. Yeah.
Then on the second, I rewatched Kronos. Then what did you? Oh yeah, right.
I watched a couple things.
You watched a couple of things.
I watched Zombieland Double Tap for the very first time. Very fun movie. I don't know why it has such a negative reception. Like I was genuinely kind of shocked at how low of an average it had when I opened the movie after I finished it. But I really loved it. I thought it was a funny. I don't know. It's a good comedy. Like it just seems rare to find nowadays.
I saw a little bit of it, and I thought it was very funny.
Yeah, I actually like it better than the first one, which is an even rarer take, I guess. But I give it a 4.5 out of 5. I had a lot of fun watching it.
He had a lot of fun.
And then also shout out to the teleplay version of 12 Angry Men. Very good. If you're familiar with 12 Angry Men, you know how good of a storyline it is. This is basically like a less fleshed out version of Lumet's movie, essentially. Yeah. Like I mean, obviously the movie's based off of this, but yeah, it's still very good. It maintains a lot of the brilliance of the movie. So I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
Then on the third, we watched I Know What You Did Last Summer. A rewatch for Robbie, a first watch for me.
Such a fun movie.
And the screenplay arguably is not that great.
No, not that great.
Unfortunately, because like everything else in this movie absolutely rocks, especially the cast.
Everything else about this movie, premise, filmmaking, cast, it all rocks except for the screenplay.
Like, yeah, and it's not even like an awful screenplay, but it's
bad.
Just so clearly not doing nearly what it could be with the story that it's very mad to like see it play out, which is sad.
Yeah.
Because man, this is so sick. The atmosphere is great. The horror is great. The cast is so much fun. I need more. I need more Sarah Michelle and Freddie Prinze Jr. stuff and like horror themed things.
Yeah.
I'm forever sad that Freddie Prinze Jr. doesn't really do much acting anymore.
Right. He's so good in this. He's so good in everything I've seen him in.
But dude, I don't know. I really, really loved it. Really loved his character. Really loved the horror.
Yeah.
Just the screenplay leaves quite a bit to be desired.
Yeah, no, I absolutely loved it.
I give it a 4 out of 5.
Give it a 4 and a 5 out as well. It's good stuff.
Good stuff.
And then on the third, you watched.
Oh, I thought you were going for.
Yeah,
okay.
no, you watched something without me.
Yeah, but.
Oh, well, I can mention that.
If it's a short, then.
Well, I mean, it's another teleplay.
Then don't worry about it, because nobody cares.
Okay, there's a teleplay called Tragedy in Temporary Town. Very good.
What did you rate it?
Not as good as 12 Angry Men.
What did you rate it, Ref?
I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. It was good.
We're trying to be succinct. Nobody cares about teleplays, but
Hey.
you know what the people do care about? Daphne and Velma, the 2018 live action.
I was about to say,
Scooby-Doo
people do
movie.
care about Daphne and Velma, but not that movie.
Daphne and Velma, amazing characters, just not in this movie.
They are not in this movie.
They are nowhere to be found in this movie. It's bad. It's very bad. It's not very funny. It's not very interesting. It's not Daphne and Velma. It makes no sense to even have anything related to Scooby-Doo attached to it. And it's just bad.
It's a bad movie.
It's a bad movie.
Sad
I gave it a
times.
1.5. Then on the third, we watched The Hudsucker Proxy for the first
Oh my
time.
goodness.
Joel Cohen, Ethan Cohen,
If you can get your hands on the Hudsucker Proxy,
Roger Deakins.
I cannot recommend it enough, man. One of the best comedies I've seen
This
in a
thing
while.
was hilarious. Written by frickin' Sam Raimi
Oh my
and
goodness.
the Coen brothers.
It's like my dream crossover. I had no idea Sam Raimi was like involved in the production of this, but it's so funny and it's so inventive and it's just like electric and clever and really sweet and it's everything I could want from a Coen Brothers
Right,
movie.
like I think this is like honestly next to, I don't know, because I think I like Oh Brother Where Art Thou more than I like this, but like their comedies, man, they know how to do
gosh.
comedies so well.
Yeah, no, I mean, Hail Caesar, it's between Hail Caesar and this for my favorite comedy from them. Like, obviously, No Country for Old Men is my favorite from them. Like, that seems
Which
like an
we
obvious
haven't
pick.
even watched some of like their most well-known comedies.
Right? Like, Big Lebowski, like, that's like
A Serious Man.
classic, you know, like, that's one of like, that's like a landmark movie, and we haven't seen
Yeah.
it.
I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Very, very good.
I give it a 5 out of 5. Like, essential New Year's viewing, Mike.
Right? You gotta watch it every New Year's. On the 4th, I watched Scooby-Doo and WWE Curse of the Speed Demon, which is my new least favorite Scooby-Doo movie out of the 35 Scooby-Doo movies I have seen.
I was about to say, there's a lot of Scooby-Doo movies. That's some ground to cover,
This
honestly.
thing is trash, extremely boring. And I liked the other WWE. It's not even just like oh, WWE bad. No, I liked the other WWE Scooby-Doo movie. At least it had John Cena being vaguely interesting. This one just sucks and makes no sense, both as a Scooby-Doo movie and as a WWE movie, because it has nothing to do with wrestling.
Aw, come on.
It's about a race, an off-road race.
What?
It's the entire movie. 90% it takes place during the race.
That's weird.
And it has no reason to be wrestlers. They have nothing to do. And it sucks.
Someone at Scooby-Doo headquarters saw Fury Road and they were like, let's do it.
And literally, everybody but Shaggy and Scooby, like the rest of the gang, they just sit and watch for 90% of the movie. They're just in the
It's one of those Scooby-Doo movies.
It sucks. It's really bad. I give it a 0.5 star.
Darn.
Also, on the 4th that night, we watched The Rescuers Down Under.
My foray into Australian cinema.
This is not Australian cinema.
Are you saying it's not Australian? Micah?
No, that is exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah,
we had seen
because it is cinema.
We had seen The Rescuers.
I never really liked it that much when I was growing up.
The Rescuers Down Under. It is more
Better.
fun.
Marginal.
It is more
but
fun.
better.
I wouldn't even say better. I would say it is more fun.
Okay.
More watchable.
I think the animation is really good, and it occasionally, like, its character writing is pretty fun. Like, it has some good bits and everything now and then, but you know, overall kind of boring.
Yeah.
That's honestly my biggest criticism of it.
And why the freak does nobody have an Australian accent?
Right. There's a grand total of like 1 or 2 characters that have an Australian accent.
In Australia. It makes no sense.
It's literally called The Rescuers Down Under.
I gave it 3 stars.
I gave it a 3.5. It was fine.
Then on the 5th, we watched the new 2022 movie Prey, Predator prequel.
Yeah, directed by Dan Trachtenberg.
Yeah, director of 10 Cloverfield Lane.
I was about to say, we're big fans of 10 Cloverfield Lane.
The best Cloverfield movie.
Yeah.
This was cool. Never seen a Predator movie before.
Yeah.
And this was like, I didn't really know what to expect, but this was pretty freaking sweet.
I honestly had no idea what the plot was for this. I just knew the title and saw like the poster for it, and it was really cool. Like,
I saw like 2 seconds of the trailer one time, and it was just her running through the woods.
I did not realize that it was going to be like a historical fiction kind of thing. It was.
Oh well, I knew it took like I knew it was.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that going into it. And I was like, oh, that's actually a really cool like thing. I see a bunch of people saying that we need like Predator fighting like different era people, like Predator versus pirates kind of thing.
Predator in the Civil War.
Yeah,
but no, again, very cool.
Yeah, it's a cool movie. I liked it.
Like all Native American cast, which is cool.
Very cool.
The leads are outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really fun to see. Like it looks cool.
It's just like cool a gnarly little fun thriller kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's a fun movie.
I am kind of sad though, and it feels kind of out of place given the movie. Like that, there's a Comanche dub. But like, why? Like, just make the original version Comanche.
I get why they didn't do it in Comanche.
Watch a dub.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Just have them speak Comanche.
Which it's very cool. Like, shout out to them for releasing like a dub with the regular English version. Like,
don't get me
that's
wrong.
very
I think
cool.
the Comanche version is very, very cool. But I just wish it was the original version.
Yeah, I wish that was the default. Yeah. No, I get that.
It feels really weird that you have them speaking English next to like especially being that there is another language spoken. Mm-hmm. I think you could do like the whole, whatever. It's just translating it because it's an American-made movie. Yeah, they're speaking.
But then
English,
they speak French,
and then they have French characters.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But I still very much enjoyed it. One of the better of the year. I'm not going to say what
I gave it a 4 out of 5.
I also gave it a 4 out of 5.
Then on the 6th, we watched The Babadook, an actual foray into Australian cinema.
Oh yeah, I forgot this was Australian. Yeah, but yeah, Babadook, kind of a classic, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't know what status this holds amongst like film fans.
But at the end of the day, very, 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 very sick filmmaking.
Very cool movie. I like it a lot.
The script is not as great. The kid, freaking annoying. Wouldn't have minded if he died by the end.
From a horror perspective, I should like adore this. Like the Babadook himself is so great.
The horror is so good in this movie.
All of its like themes that it plays off of are really great. The way it handles its sequences, the way it's lit and shot and directed, it's all really fantastic. Like masterwork of horror filmmaking.
I think its biggest attribute is its filmmaking, like on a technical level.
It's
good. Camera movements and its direction and its lighting. And
dude, it can cut to a shot of like a dresser and make you hold your breath. It's so good.
But yeah, I think the screenplay is a little too blunt and kind of straightforward with what it's trying to say to really work well. And the kid is really annoying.
I was about to say, honestly, like my biggest criticism of this is that it's just kind of grating to watch. Like, I love the horror stuff, but like the character drama stuff is not nearly as fun to just experience.
I gave it a 3.5.
I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Then on the 6th, we watched Luck. 2022
new Disney Plus original movie.
No, Apple TV Plus.
Apple TV Plus. Why did I say Disney Plus?
Not Disney.
I'm getting all that. Why do people? They got to stop putting pluses at the end of everything. just call it Apple TV.
Weird movie. Not that big of a fan. The animation. There's something really weird about the mouth movement in the animation that bothered me throughout the entire thing.
It's just cheaper rigging. It probably didn't have nearly as big of a budget as something like a Disney movie.
That wasn't a huge problem. That was just something that bothered me. That was the biggest problem is that it's just not that smart of a screenplay.
No,
it just doesn't really do
much with any of its stuff. Got a very confused thematic core, like a very confusing, I should say, thematic core, because it doesn't really land like it should.
So
ever.
I put in my review that it's like Inside Out but worse because they're going for an Inside Out kind of thing. But honestly, if I watched this, especially as a child, I would just be completely confused on what it's trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, oh, if you have bad luck, that's good.
That's good.
Even
I guess.
instead of being sad is healthy, because like that can lead to like it's part of life. This is like bad luck can also be bad.
It's weird.
I have no idea.
Don't know.
It's weird.
It's like I said, it's very like wishy-washy kind of movie, and I think it's just a bit of a bore to watch, unfortunately. There's a lot of elements that I really liked about it, but like overall just kind of a boring experience, unfortunately. But I gave it a 3 out of 5.
I gave it a 2.5 out of 5.
That's all I watched this week.
And then on the 8th, last night, deep into the night, I watched Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island again.
Very good movie.
Upped it to a 5 because it's perfect. I love it. It's amazing. Go watch it.
Shout out to Zombie Island for real.
And then we watched Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and that is it.
That is the movies. Those are all the movies. We listed every movie. You no longer have to watch any movies or listen to the podcast because we already listened to all of them.
We've talked about all of them.
We listed all the movies.
Every movie. We've talked about them.
But anyway, we'll see you next week with something. I don't know if we're going to jump straight into Roderick Rules or
depends
do
how
like
we
a little
go.
filler
Because
episode.
usually we try and break up series.
Yeah, usually we try and stagger them a little bit.
If we don't have any good ideas, then that's just our fallback. So we'll see you guys next week with whatever comes your way. Go watch Nope if you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go watch Diary of a Wimpy Kid in your back to schoolness.
Right.
Go watch Zombie Island.
Go watch a good movie.
Kronos, Misery, Scenes from a Marriage, First Reform,
Pride and Prejudice. Go watch Pride and Prejudice.
Good movies. Hudsucker Proxy. Just go watch good movies.
If you can track down Hudsucker Proxy, go do it.
And have a good week, everyone.
Catch you next time.